Welcome to Getting Real with John Natale. I'm John Natale, your host, here today with an interview that I cannot wait for you guys to hear. We have an agent who is absolutely crushing it on TikTok. And not just in a way that's, getting followers just for TikTok's sake. He is utilizing TikTok to drive his entire pipeline for 2024 and beyond. He's gone from doing pretty well to looking like he is going to turn a huge corner and be something honestly huge in this business. And he's done it in a short period of time. So I'm pumped for you guys to hear this conversation. Before we get in there, I have to thank you, one, for watching this podcast, for listening to this podcast, for tuning in, for subscribing, for liking, sharing, anything you're doing to help us grow our message here at Getting Real and at our Natale companies. We're here to redesign the real estate industry. This interview today is part of that. All of these interviews I bring you are part of that. How we want less agents to fail, more agents to find the business, the career of their dreams that real estate really can offer. This is an insane amount of potential in front of you. I'm pumped to have this conversation today. If you have any interest in getting closer to our world, we offer the best coaching program I think this nation has. Our agents are extremely successful doing this, and we want you to become a part of our family. So if you have interest, in the links below, we have a link. You can book a discovery call with us to talk about joining us here in our Natale family, no matter where you are in the country. So let's dive in. Today's guest, again, he's got to be one of the, if not the hottest name in TikTok right now. He's more than quadrupled his following this month alone. His home tours are electric. They're hysterical. They're finding clients, most importantly. You've seen his videos out there, especially if you've consumed probably about 5 minutes on TikTok over the last month. Today's guest, guys, Daniel Chavez from Las Vegas. Daniel, how are we doing today?
Fantastic, man. I'm happy to be here and get everything rolling. Excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's a pleasure to have you on. It's a pleasure to have this conversation. And I know already agents are going to get a lot from this.
100%.
We're going to talk about everything you're doing now on TikTok, everything you're doing social strategy wise. We're going to get into that. But first, I want to go, peel some layers back.
Let's do it.
You've been doing real estate for how long?
About a little bit over 4 years now.
Okay. So a little over 4 years. What drove you to get into real estate?
Honestly, so I'll kind of give you some background when it comes to me. So I went to college because that was what was expected of me. I was good at school, so I had some really good grades in high school and all that type of stuff. And I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. When I first started college, it was just like, oh, I'll just do this major and kind of see where it takes me. And it wasn't until later on in college that I started realizing like how great of communication skills I had, that I can actually connect with people. So after I graduated, I was working this IT job and it really wasn't for me. You would propose ideas, the manager would not care. There was a huge disconnect. And when it comes to me, trying to focus on real estate, it was just like, do I really want to work for someone else for the rest of my life? And, I started researching like what's one of the best ways to kind of build wealth. So, started going into real estate, and then you can kind of see it's like, oh, well, this is what a real estate agent does. I could do that. So I never really had a normal job when it comes to high school. What I used to do back in the day is I would buy and fix like broken iPhones or tech in general, and I would just like fix it, flip it. Here's $200. Here's $100. Here's, I think one of the most ones that I made was like $300, and it was pretty easy. But that's kind of like what kind of led me to be like, oh, well, I could do this. And I just went for it. Took me a little bit.
Would you say you're a natural entrepreneur?
Yeah. Especially like once you start realizing, and especially like when it comes to your past, like even when I was working with that IT job, so that was like an e-waste recycling center. So they would refurbish and, recycle. And a lot of times what I would do is I would just buy stuff really cheap there, I would either fix it up, install a hard drive, and then just flip it on Craigslist and Facebook. So it was
Yeah.
it was that kind of that mindset, and it was the whole thing of like building your brand. And don't get me wrong, like it's taken me years to kind of get to the point where I'm at, but it's all about mentality and having the right environment. Um,
I, I totally agree. And what were some of those early days? I know it's 4 years ago, but what were some of those early days in real estate like for you?
Keep in mind, I feel like my first brokerage, I was never a right fit. Like I probably would have been, within like 2 or 3 months. And I had a great friend. We partner up, and because we were both like brand new to the industry, we were both trying to figure it out. And the broker at the time, he would talk really pretty, but he would never give you any sort of substance. So a lot of the time was just like trial and error. Hey, we tried this, it didn't work. We tried that, it didn't work. So it was just really inefficient to, as an agent, especially brand new, you're just like doing it, but you don't know how to do it, and it's just a matter of education, and you know that probably is like education. Instead of me, like I remember one of the first open houses that I did is there was an HOA, and I didn't really know what to look out for, consult with the HOA, reach out to them, make sure that it's fine. And I remember door knocking before the HOA, and I knocked on the door of one of the HOA board members, and he got like super upset. So, like I said, lots of error and trial, but
Yeah. No, and that's what it takes, and we're we still work on this today, right? Like everything is
100%.
trial and error.
Yeah.
Our motto at our coaching company is literally fuck around and find out. Like if anyone wants to know
Yeah.
what we do better
Yeah.
than anyone is we fuck around and we find out
Right.
what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I totally love that that's been part of it. Where did like your first, let's say like your first deal, where did that come from?
It was my brother. He was selling
So
his
family.
house, so it was family. And then aside from that, it was mainly just open housing. One of the first deals that I ever got was from Craigslist, actually. So I started putting out, I was doing lots of rentals back then. And I got this really young couple.
Mhm.
They were younger than me at the time. And, I showed them a house, and I was talking to them, and they're like, hey, have you ever thought about buying a house? And they're like, oh, is that even a possibility? So I was like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much pre-qualified you when it comes to renting a house. And so we set up like an appointment with with a lender. And I remember he was shaking when the lender is like, "Yeah, man, you can afford to buy a house. It's pretty much everything." It's just one of those things where you can kind of, like especially so early on in your career, like you can see the impact. 'Cause especially like when it comes to him, like he grew up in like a very, very poor background. So for him to like visualize that he can actually afford to buy a house is just huge, you know. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah. You had some early success working with family, trying different things, taking people from, rentals to possibly purchasing. You saw the power that real estate and the power of what you do could really do. I want to, go back another step though. Where At what point in your life did you get to Vegas? Like what brought you to Las Vegas?
yeah. So I mean, when I was 7, we got the green card. So the first place in the U.S. that we were at was El Paso, Texas, and that was with my aunt. And after a year there, so that was third grade, and then after that, my dad got a job in Vegas. So ever since fourth grade, I've been in Nevada. I mean, I went to, finished elementary, middle school, high school here in Vegas, and then I went up to UNR for college, and then I came back. So I've been in Nevada quite a while, pretty much. Even when it comes to college, I don't want to pay out of state tuition, so it was either UNR or UNLV, and I went to UNR because of the campus.
No, that's
So,
awesome. That's a
um,
really cool that's a really cool story. Um, what is what's your favorite part of living there?
I'd probably say it's really easy to get around. Everybody wants to visit you when you're in Vegas, and there's just a lot of stuff that it's always going on when it comes to entertainment, sports, especially like the last 3 to 5 years, it's been blowing up. When it comes to nature, if you like to hike, mountain bike, all that type of stuff is also pretty nice. Especially like with the part of town that I live in, like it's kind of like if I want to go to Mount Charleston, I'm about 30 minutes away. If I want to go to Red Rock National Park, That's another like 15 minutes. So when it comes to the nature, I'd probably say like that's something that I've kind of enjoyed. And it's not like California where you have to pay to park and all the traffic and all that madness. And yeah, no, I mean it's been. I don't think I have a reason to move elsewhere just yet. So
No, that's good.
yeah,
That's good. Yeah, no, and there's so many people moving to Vegas, and we're going to get into what you're doing
yeah.
specifically on TikTok and specifically on social media to kind of attract that.
Mhm.
Before we go into that, though, what is you kind of highlighted one story, but like, what has
Mhm.
been your biggest win in real estate so far in these 4 years?
That's a great question. Do you mean like me personally or with a client?
It could be either. It could be you personally. It could be a win with a client or
Mhm.
for a client. It could just be anything that you look back over those last 4 years and like you felt really good about yourself for doing.
Well, I mean, I've been able to purchase my house, but I feel like I have another client that kind of exemplifies like the importance of real estate in general. So keep in mind, like he was an HVAC tech at the time, and he could barely afford to buy a house at the time. And keep in mind, like this was like 2, 3, 4 months before the pandemic. At the time, there was a grant program where he got $20,000 grant money for free, no strings attached, towards his down payment and his closing costs. And he was able to get into the house. It definitely took a lot of guiding him to have the vision of like, hey, even though this is not like 100% ready to go, you can turn it into your dream home, based off of your budget, location, all that type of stuff. You especially like with the way the market was back then. Um, Fast forward 3 years, he moved out of state. He's able to rent that property out. He probably has about like $200,000 worth of equity, and he cash flows about $500 a month. And for him to be so young and set up his success for him, for his family, and just leverage wealth, all that type of stuff, like I think that's probably like one of the first examples that have really exemplified the power of real estate. Um, he may now be in another different state, but he has a lot of equity. He has that rental now, and he can use that as leverage. And I think that's probably like one of the most yeah. I'd probably say that's probably like been one of the most impactful ones for me.
That's an awesome story, and a lot of people have a similar one, right? And
Hmm.
and so far when I've done these interviews, it's been the person that's they helped and they just either couldn't didn't think they could do it. They were really scratching just at the surface of being able to afford it,
Yeah.
and now their entire life is different because of that real estate that you helped them
Yeah.
work through. And usually they were tough transactions. They were hard to get through,
Hmm.
but you got through them. You helped the person, and now they are doing much better for themselves because of the job you did.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it doesn't matter where your financial situation is at. And keep in mind, like, there's different types of people that may have more, a better financial situation. But if you make your life easy, if you save them time, if you save them headaches, like that's another thing that has a lot of value too. Um, yeah, no,
one Hundred
it's
percent.
pretty rewarding. I think the biggest thing for me has just been like building relationships, and you help all types of people with very different backgrounds, and I think that connecting and building a relationship is probably like the most rewarding thing so far.
I love that. I love that. And so now we're gonna actually take like a 180-degree
Let's do it.
turn here.
Yeah,
So that was your most positive
yeah.
experience. Let's talk about your biggest mistake so far in these 4 years
With my career,
with anything, whether it's your career or a mistake you made with a client.
right?
And
Yeah.
that tells me you have a few. But give me your
Hmm.
give me your biggest mistake.
Probably not believing in myself. Um, and I think that just comes down to like self-esteem and knowing that you're the best option for a client out there, and just realizing that you should be looking for people that want to do business with you. I think that's really just what's really stopped my development in the last few years. And I mean, the last 3 months have been probably like the most I've grown as a person, as a professional, when it comes to everything. I think that's been, I, when it comes to the TikTok, especially like with the new content that I've been doing now, it's just, I had that idea probably like 2 years ago. I just never had the confidence to like execute and not care what people say, and just, commit. Um, And I feel like once you find your formula, it doesn't really matter what industry you are, it doesn't really matter what you do. Once you find a formula that works for you and you can be consistent with, I think it'll change pretty much. I mean, you've seen the transformation. I was like, so I got like 10,500 followers for the longest time, and now, I hit 40,000 a couple of days ago. So yeah, no, it's just a matter of not caring what others have to say because you're gonna connect with people, you're gonna influence people. And a lot of these people that have been reaching out is just, I like your personality, I like your bluntness, I like your honesty. Just be who you are. And that's really just the biggest thing. I know it's probably a lot simpler said than done, but once you believe in the power and the influence that you have within yourself, they could open so many more doors.
So we're gonna start here. We're gonna start to talk about exactly what you're doing on social media, your videos, your content strategy, if you're getting clients from it, which I know you are, but we're going to talk about that and really showcase exactly what you just talked about because you did break out of your shell. You kind of said fuck it to a certain degree, and really put yourself out there in a different way. And I think now you're driving some of the change we're seeing on social media. And I think there's power in that. I think it's really cool to see it happening. And I want to kind of just start the conversation with what finally drove you to change, right? Like what drove you like to say like, this is not it. And I need to do something different. I need to like finally put myself out there.
So keep in mind, I can't complain about how much I made last year. It was my worst year by far in terms of mentality. So I wasn't in a good place when it comes to that. And, I think after speaking with you and just thinking about it, it's like, well, you're gonna have to put in your reps just to kind of get to where you want to be. And it's just a matter of trying and finding and until something hits and that you can kind of replicate and stick with. And I think that was just it, man. It was just like I don't like you said, fuck around, find out. If you stop giving a fuck, that's really just the golden ticket for me. It was just a matter of like it doesn't really matter what I do, what I say in my videos. I'm just gonna put them out. If if people like me, they're gonna like me. They're gonna reach out to me. And if they don't, that's totally fine. I don't. It's just it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah, well, I think too. You see when you see the success from it, right? It really stops letting you get bothered by it. So let's just go like let's talk about what you're doing different, right? Like because I know,
Yeah.
but a listener to this who maybe is just listening to the podcast, doesn't follow me on TikTok, doesn't
Right.
hasn't seen what you've done on
Yeah.
TikTok. Explain to the viewer exactly like what you changed about a month ago, a little over a month ago,
Yeah.
in your video content.
So first thing I I do, you know, they're usually around 5 to 7 minute long walkthroughs of the house with me in them. And my commentary, sometimes I may be professional, sometimes it would just be a really silly, stupid joke, or sometimes I just be making fun of myself or doing something like hanging on the ledge of a foyer. It for me, like it's just a matter of understanding how people react emotionally and kind of leveraging that when it comes to comments, views, likes, all that type of stuff. It's more of an entertainment while also adding value because when it comes to people on the internet, if they see homes that they like, they'll find a lot of value when it comes to that. And if they relate to you personally when it comes to personality and everything, like I think that's a very important combo. So yeah, no, long term format videos doesn't really matter how long they are. People will watch, especially if you show up being organically, being yourself, being entertaining. That's really just the ticket.
A lot of the social platforms are definitely gearing themselves towards longer form content.
Yeah,
They're promoting it, right? They're pushing it
right.
out to more people. And we kind of timed that really well with what you were doing.
Yeah,
And I think when you started, there was like a little bit of a debate. Like, is this too long? Right? Like, and I was like, here we go. F around, fuck around,
yeah.
find out. What's the, like, realistically, you had the position of what's the worst that could happen? Like, it's not like, you're going to dramatically lose by putting out one video or two
No,
or three trying something,
yeah.
right? So speak to that a little bit.
I mean, I'll tell you the video that pretty much offset everything for me, and it was this townhouse, right, with the next gen. And my one of my good lender friends was videoing me, and I just told him like, "Hey man, like I'm just gonna wing this. Let's see what happens." And it was really easy to edit. I just posted it, and I think I got over 400,000 views. That was like the first major video that I think back that back during that time. I think that was my best performing video, and my best one now is over 7 million views. And you're just like, big change, big change. Yeah, no, it was just a matter of being consistent. Especially on social media. Like once you find your formula, and it really doesn't matter who your, it doesn't matter who your preferred influencer, famous person on the internet is. Just look at what they do. Most of the time, people will have like that one thing that they just replicate over and over and over. Um, and for me, like I would always kind of question myself and it's like, oh, well, it's kind of sucks or it gets kind of boring just doing the same thing over and over. But if it's something that works and people show up or you show up on their For You page consistently, that's really what the biggest value is. Because when it comes to social media, especially if you're posting content, like that's another way for you to follow up with people and be, number one on people's minds. Um, I think that's pretty huge, man. Honestly, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I even started making money, getting paid from TikTok because of the views, and what I've made over $4,000 just from the views in about 3 weeks, and you're just like, this is the real power of social media. And I mean, I'm not even gonna speak about all the amount of people that have been reaching out to me. It's gone to the point where I pretty much wanna build a team. That way, I can have that team build those leads out and close them. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
We are definitely going to
Yeah,
talk about the future. There's a couple things that you just talked about that I want to unpack
yeah.
a little bit.
Mhm.
First question: do you post anything other than walkthrough tours at this point?
No, I don't think it really matters to my brand. I mean, and keep in mind, like, I'm sure if I posted something different, I could get away with it, mainly because, like, once you have, like, a community, once you have a following, I feel like people are really familiar with you, so they're probably more open to seeing other types of content. Do I want to branch out eventually? Yeah, I want to show me, more of an impact on those, community-wise in terms of either neighborhoods, working with small business owners, and just having more of an impact on the community. I think that would be probably like my next change. Um, but for now, I mean, walkthroughs work. For example, yesterday I was with this TikTok lead that I've been following up with about a year now. He had some health complications. They're from Alaska, and I met with him yesterday, and I'm showing them some stuff on Friday. But you know, all the time the text me is like, "Hey, where's this? I just saw the TikTok that you posted. Where's this at?" It kind of keeps that engagement and that it delivers value in their eyes because yeah, no, I mean it's a lot. And I feel like when it comes to people, they don't really know that a single agent will be able to kind of show you everything that's available. So I feel like with a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I really like the houses that he posts. So I want to go work with him, and I'll ask him about that house. Um, it's interesting.
Yeah, and how are you managing filming these walkthrough tours? Is it mostly new construction,
Yeah.
resale? Talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit.
so keep in mind when it comes to Vegas market, you definitely have a ton of new construction. So when it comes to creating content of these model homes, it's really easy for you to just go there and just film them, post them, and go from there. I feel like Vegas is a pretty lucky market when it comes to that because I know a lot of other markets like it's mainly just going to be resale, and if you do have new construction, it's going to be very, very limited, or it's going to be further away. So I feel like when it comes to Vegas, I mean, even when it comes to most of the buyers that come out here, I mainly suggest brand new construction because it just makes more sense in terms of incentives and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, it definitely helps you, and it helps anybody that has if you have new construction in your market. This is like a must do.
Yeah.
Resale, we've seen it do very well with anyway. It's just you have to go that extra level. You have to get the agent's approval.
Hmm.
You have to put
Right.
listed by that agent at the bottom. All those types of things. You got to make sure you're
Right.
doing it with compliance to your MLS. However, that doesn't mean you should write this off just because you don't have new construction. Because we're, what I'm doing on our consumer facing side, maybe it's not hitting as much as Daniel's content, but the few videos I put out there, every single one is at 5 or 10,000, usually within 30 minutes. And most of them end up getting to 50, 100, 200, 300,000 views pretty quickly. For resale, very expensive homes that people love to bitch and complain about here in New Jersey. But
engagement. It's all about the engagement.
And that's what I was going to get to next. And because I think one of the things that you've done in the last month or two that I've seen, one of the biggest differences in you almost as a person too, is how do you deal, or share how you deal with the negative comments you get? Because no matter what, and if you haven't watched Daniel's content, you need to go watch it because his hooks are they're very good. They're excellent. And that's one of the biggest reasons why he has so much success with it. But they're also, sometimes like, this house is ugly as shit. Or, like, this is my raw dog reaction to it. So whenever you're provocative like that,
now.
People are going to have negative reactions. They're going to bitch. They're going to complain to you. So how do you handle that? How do you handle that cycle, in your own head, to tell the listener or viewer a little bit about your process with that?
I'll tell you this, with every like, with every share, with every comment, even if it's negative, that just means that it's helping my algorithm push out my videos to other people. And now if I'm getting paid for people watching my videos, not even giving me clients, like, you're helping my business, you're helping me reach out other people that do see the value in working with me. That's really like the best way that I can describe it. And, sometimes I'll reply to one of those comments, just, it's fun, I guess. I don't know. Like, I feel like once you understand that it's a game and that as long as somebody does not cross the line, and keep in mind, like, you can block them, you can report them, but most people are going to go on the internet because they're bored and because they want to be entertained. So a lot of times when it comes to me, like, I know how you treat others is a direct reflection about how you feel about yourself. So if you go on the internet and you talk crap about somebody, like, that just probably means to me that, you're probably in a pretty bad situation personally. But I don't really take it personally. And don't get me wrong, like, a lot of people are, especially like if you're starting out, you'd probably be really scared of, like, oh, what are they going to say? Can I really handle the judgment? But if you can understand that it's a game for you to kind of use this to help your business and promote yourself and make money and, spread your message, doesn't matter what it is, like, you have to see that a lot of people will gravitate towards you. And this is something that I've been seeing, especially like older young men have been reaching out to me, even if it's not about real estate. Like, I had somebody from New Jersey reach out to me, and he's 19 in college. So he's like, hey man, like, if I can ever reach out to you for advice, can I do that? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, I was once in your shoes. I didn't really know what I was doing when I was in college, and I'd be more than happy to help you. So that kind of just goes to show how big of an impact your social presence can have. It doesn't really matter what business you're in. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in. Yeah, no, I mean, you're either going to be there to entertain, educate, and as long as you have the right consistency and mindset, the sky's the limit, honestly.
I honestly think I might have someone rewind that, and we could play that again, because that might have been the best 2.5, 3 minutes of advice you'll ever hear. Like, it's probably better than what I've ever given you on Getting Real, but that really is the realest thing you could hear, right? Like, you can't let others control what you're doing because of negative comments from people that are bored on the internet. You're going to let them hold you back. And the sad thing, and Daniel, you know this as well as I do, so many right now are sitting there probably listening to this episode, letting that fear hold them back. And I've gotten so many negative comments. I've gotten negative comments about my physical appearance, about the things I said. I know just from knowing you and being involved in your comments that you get negative things about how you talk, how you look, keeping your shoes on in houses. God forbid you keep a shoe on in a house when you're walking through it. They will find anything to talk about how ridiculous you are. And even one thing we have, because it's so expensive here in New Jersey, when I say a $700,000 house is affordable, people flip out, flip out.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, if a median price point is $950, $700 is affordable. So
It's nothing.
it's
Yeah, that's nothing.
and you have to use whatever it is, as your advantage and look at it as a game. And realistically, your game is getting more eyeballs on yourself. And when you get more eyeballs on yourself, it's a funnel. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I have my hands spread apart. You need to have a wide funnel up top. So eventually you narrow it down, and then eventually you'll get your business. And that's where I want to take this conversation next. It's a very direct question.
Let's do it.
And then we're going to unpack it.
Yeah.
Do you get specific clients working with you directly from your content?
Yes.
What does that look
100%.
What does that look like typically? So if someone, do they DM you? Do they fill out a form? What does it look like for you?
Both. So I will probably say when it comes to TikTok, my biggest area of improvement will probably be coming up with a better DMing system. And this is something when it comes to Instagram that is a lot better for sure. But most people, especially when it comes to social media, I think it's they're gonna gravitate towards DMing you rather than filling something out. And don't get me wrong, like I have a funnel set up through Google Forms, since that's something that you showed me. So when it comes to somebody, for them to go onto my link tree, fill out my form, then I have, their name, number, email, and then just a brief few questions of kind of what they're trying to do. Some people have done that. I've probably had a really good amount of responses when it comes to that. But, it's just a matter of reaching out to them and then them answering you and starting like the sales process. I feel like lately I've been having more success with people DMing me. And once I ask for the number, like most people tend to be a lot more responsive when it comes to, me reaching out and connecting with them and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely very different ways of going about everything. One of my, when it comes to recently, like I've had an influencer here in town reach out to me. She DM'd me on Instagram right away, asked for a number, and then, after a couple showings, she found the right house. So that just shows you how quickly, especially if you have somebody that's motivated and actually sees the value in working with you, like you can find success right off, like really quickly without having to, wait. But everybody's situation is very different. Some people are 6 months out. Some people are over 12 months out. I've had a lot of people from California reach out to me that they want to move to Vegas. So that's a whole different other timeline. But yeah, no, it's either. I feel like lately with the DMing and connecting with people a little bit quicker when it comes to that, it's been good.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I've also yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, to finish my point, I also have my number in my link or in my description. I'm sorry, and some people will randomly just call you or text you. So as long as you answer your phone or you text back right away, like you have a client.
Yeah, and is that your personal cell phone or is that like a number you have through your CRM?
Yeah. No, that's just my personal number. I think it kind of facilitates everything because I know when it comes to like the CRM, there's limitations to it. So yeah, I mean, I don't at this point. If you want to call or text me, that's fine too, and
Have you had anyone call you at like 2 a.m.? Like, I'm in Vegas. No. I want to look at a house. And tomorrow morning they're going to be sitting there on the strip in the middle of the night, drunk. Looking at your videos and wanting to go see one. That'll probably happen soon.
I hope that happens though. I mean, I'll probably be sleeping, but once I check my phone in the morning, I'm like, oh, it's like, hey, you awake yet? So.
No, that's great. And so you've already talked about it a little bit, but I want to talk about what the TikTok creativity program, even in this short period of time, has kind of done for you and what that's kind of opened up. Tell me a little bit. So obviously you have to have 10,000 followers to be a part of the creativity program, and then they pay you for views and all this different stuff on your videos. So you've made over 4,000 this month alone, and really you really just started with 2 months ago. If you looked at your videos, a good one might have done 10,000 views. Now you're some of them are at 7. I think the last one I just saw was at 7.8 million. You have one at 6 million. Almost everything hits 100,000 or more. And what does that help you do? Like getting an extra $4,000 for the content you're already making.
Honestly, that's a great question. I feel like it just gives you stability. Even if I could just use that money to pay for my mortgage and my basic needs, like it's kind of crazy to think about if I want to invest more into my business, which is probably what I'll end up doing, buying better gear just so I can make better videos. Probably I had somebody in the comments mention it's like, oh, for Valentine's Day, you should like dress up as Cupid, wear a big diaper, and so I'll probably start like taking my money, kind of just investing it back into like entertainment value and just, you know, getting crazy, I guess. I don't know. Like it's nice to think about, honestly.
Yeah, no, and that's cool. And I think the stability part is the big one for a lot of people. Like if you're already creating the content, it's getting you, you have a crap ton of clients, you have a crap ton
Yeah.
coming into your pipeline for 2024 from this. That's the bread and butter. But like if you could pay your bills with the content you're creating
Yeah.
for that anyway, like it's a no brainer. So the one question I had for you is, as we pivot away from the content and how you've been successful with that, is back into a career
Yeah.
in real estate. What is your, you're looking out over the future. What's one of the things that scares you about a career in real estate?
Hmm. I think just knowing how to build up my brand and my team, because that's something that which I feel like I'll be really good at because I'm really great at connecting with people and making sure that, I'm listening to your needs and helping out the best way that I can. But I think it's just figuring out how to maximize my potential. And I feel like when it comes to the systems, like just kind of figuring out the systems. Um, when it comes to like
Yeah.
the NAR Lawson, I'm not really worried about that. That's something that did come across my head, but I mean, as long as you add value and you kind of do what you got to do, I don't think it'll be a big issue. So
Well, I think if you have a personal brand, you don't have to worry
exactly.
about that shit. Like if you can draw an audience, and it's not saying like, oh, I can make $4,000 a month from TikTok just making videos. Like that's not going to be enough to
Yeah,
suffice. It's a good stability, but like it's not enough. But if you have a personal brand, people are going to want to work with you, and that's what
hmm,
we're all about, and that's what I've been preaching for a
yeah,
long time, for the last 6-7 months, ever since I started on this journey. Is if you have a personal brand, you don't have to worry about lawsuits. You don't have to worry really about anything because you're attracting
exactly.
business. And I think what Daniel's done is kind of say, I don't really give a shit if you're going to hate me, but I'm going to figure out how to get as big of an audience so I could find the people that will resonate with
Hmm.
my message, will want to work with me. And I think if you can accomplish that in your market, you don't have to really worry about
Yeah,
much. And I think that's one thing that, like, you know, I'm always, I'm just, I had a deeply traumatic youth. So I'm always just worried about the
yeah,
future. I'm just a naturally worry
yeah,
type of person. However, I know as I'm building out this personal brand and have all these different ventures that come from it, it doesn't really matter what
hmm,
happens. Like the market could be shit, the market could be great, the market could be anywhere in between, and things will happen when you have a brand because there's people that want to be in your world and be
exactly.
near you. So I love everything you're providing. I love the entertainment that you're bringing to TikTok, to the world. What do you kind of foresee the next 5 years? I think you've already talked about it a little bit. You look at it saying like I could use this content to really develop a team, bring in leads. Again, these aren't Zillow leads that you're giving up 35, 40, 45% of your commission. You're keeping them. You have a lot of new construction, so you have
Yeah.
a lot of product. What do you see over these next five
I think
years?
it's just a matter of building my brand and my team to the point where if I just have to worry about making content and have everything else take care of itself, I think I'd be really happy when it comes to that. And I'd probably say like, especially lately, like I kind of mentioned, earlier on that when it comes to like young men reaching out to me, like if I can have a greater impact on the most amount of people that I can, especially if it's especially like if it's over social media, I think that would be a big goal of mine too. Because I feel like a lot of people out there like need a lot of guidance, even if it's personal, professional, mental. I think you using social media towards changing people's perspective, mindset, life, giving them value and advice, even if it's from, experience. I think there's a lot of value in that, honestly. And I feel like once you've found your formula, if you can kind of help other people find their own formula, like that's pretty big.
I totally agree, and I think that brings us to our
Yeah.
last two questions here. And this has been an unbelievable interview so far, and I know these last two questions are going to provide some more value. First question: there's a brand
Hmm.
new agent out there. There's someone who's struggling, someone who can't
Yeah.
figure out their way, a little bit down on themselves, and or just brand new and have
Yeah.
no idea what to do. What's your one piece of advice, only one, to that person?
Find the right people to surround yourself with. I think that would probably be the biggest thing because once you find it could be a coach, it could be another agent, it could be a friend, it doesn't really matter who it is. I feel like once you find that little thing that will kind of transform everything, um, can change everything. And don't be afraid of investing, either if it's time or monetary wise. Like, it's 100% worth it for you to kind of like fast track your career. Um, I mean, I'll even tell you this at the current program that I'm at, there's a new agent and I've been showing him the ropes of how to find his own brand. And, he's over 10,000 followers in less than 2 months. That's crazy, and yeah, I don't know. That would probably be my, surround yourself with like-minded people or people that are more successful or people that actually care about you. I think that's the biggest thing. Um, when I joined your coaching program, like I'd seen so many other real estate coaches out there, and when it comes to you, I think you were just like really yourself, and you gave a lot of value. And even when it comes to our first interview, it was just like, yeah, let's sign me up. I see the value in this. Like I talked to some other dude that was gonna charge like 3,000 a month, and he didn't really give that much value. And you're just like, well, other people are, paying this much, and I personally didn't really see the value. That's why I didn't do it. But yeah, no, it's crazy how one person or one networking group or it really can change everything really quickly too. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I've been more than one thing. I've been telling you like two or three things, but if you really want to be successful, start your personal brand. That's probably it. Actually, just start your personal brand.
Yeah, I should probably kick you off the episode for taking taking the one piece of advice. You only get one,
Sorry.
and giving
Yeah.
two or
Whoops.
three nuggets. Uh, no, it's okay, and it's great to hear different things in that
Yeah.
answer, right? Leveling up your network, whether it's with us or not, like that's not a big deal. Like I always
Yeah.
appreciate kind words. That wasn't meant to be a
No, I mean
commercial
that's
or
just my
anything
personal
like
experience.
that.
It's just like it's
Uh,
crazy how like that low of an investment turns and transforms your whole business, and that's the thing. I mean, it's just if I had to restart my career, I would just but I didn't know what I know now, and if I can like I'm telling you, like with Gavin, it's just how crazy how that little shift has kickstarted his career. It it's
Hundred
crazy,
percent.
honestly. So
No, it is. And that's also the power of social media. Like once you get
yeah,
going with it, and you have a personal brand, you could be a brand new agent, and people will gravitate to you more than the person who's been doing this 30,
exactly,
40 years.
and exactly,
So it is. I think starting your personal brand is a must if you haven't already. And I do think leveling up who you're around, and that could be at your company. It doesn't necessarily have to be a coaching group. It doesn't have to be with us. It doesn't have to be joining a different coaching company. It just has to be. It could be within your company. It could be within your friends. It doesn't really matter. But leveling up your playing field makes a difference in your life. So I love that as advice. Let's get to this last question here. You get to meet your 10-year-old self. So you get to meet little 10-year-old Daniel sitting out on a playground. I don't know if you like playing basketball as a
Football.
kid, but he's playing basketball. He's playing
Yeah.
playing soccer. He's out there. You get to go. You get to sit down next to him and have a conversation with him. What is the one thing or the few things, I'll give you some leeway here, that you tell that that young kid?
I think the first one is everybody's timing is different. Because even like during college, I didn't really know why I was going to college, especially like in my first 2 years. And then I was like, well, if I already invested enough time, might as well just finish, just kind of say I did something. But I feel like once you find your purpose and your why, and some people already know when they're, 5 years old, some people it may take them 30 years. Everybody's timing is different. You really can't compare yourself to others because nobody has lived exactly the exact same thing. So when it comes to your family life, when it comes to your schooling, like everything shapes you into who you are. But everybody's timing is different, and I think that'd be the first one. Second wise, I'd probably say it's all in your head. If you want to achieve something, doesn't matter how hard it may be. If the world is against you, keep in mind like the world is not a fair place, but if you want to achieve something, especially in America, I do strongly believe that even if it may take you a while, you can get there. So yeah, no, it's mentality is everything, and building yourself up starts with building and changing your habits. Even though it may not be easy, like it's just a matter of changing your mentality when it comes to everything.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. That's great advice to give a 10-year-old, especially a 10-year-old version of yourself. Daniel, I can't thank you enough. This has been an unbelievable conversation. I know a lot of value has been packed here. If you want to connect with Daniel, what are your handles for TikTok and Instagram?
Daniel Chavez, Chavez, Realtor. That's it. Daniel Chavez Realtor. If you Google it should be able to easily pop up.
Yeah, especially on TikTok now. If you haven't seen Daniel's content, go check it out. If you go back to the original raw dogging video, and I think he has a few parts of it now. He's done it a couple times.
Oh, it's becoming a series, man. I mean, I think I have so I'll probably just post like a raw dogging every week, and then just like build out like a show and everything. And it's like, so it's it's a good place to be, man. I mean, and even with like the raw dogging, like you'll get comments like, "Oh, I love this series." So once people become familiar with you and your content, it's crazy. I've also had like a lot of other people. It's like, "Oh, well, once I move out there, once my blah 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 blah, like I'll definitely be giving you a call." Just don't be afraid to be yourself, because there's a lot of power and value in just being yourself and trying to influence the lives of other people.
Love it, and I think we're gonna definitely have Daniel's contact information below. If you have a referral going to Vegas, he is your guy. He will, especially new construction, anything really, but especially new construction. He is an expert at it, and he is entertaining as hell. So go give him a follow. Follow along with what he's doing, how he's changing up the game, and again, Daniel, I can't thank you enough.
Keep in mind, what you may see on TikTok, that's not how I can act. Like, I'm a salesperson, so if your client is a lot more serious, like I'll be able to adapt to that. Like that's not gonna be an issue. But yeah, no, I appreciate your time, John. I think you've added a lot of value within the agents that are, listening to this, and that you could potentially help in the future. And it's I think if you are thinking about joining his program, or even just working with him, or just consuming his content, there's a lot of value in there. And he's changed my life, pretty much my business, and it's it's very crazy. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's very kind of you. And if you're listening to this, you want to connect with us, again, all of our links are below. Check us out on social media. Check me out. I have multiple accounts. I'm kind of psychotic like that, and we try to provide as much value as possible. And again, go and follow Daniel. Don't hesitate from that.